What's going on, guys? This is Slime Boss here, and welcome back to another episode of the Crazy Cat Podcast. Today, we're going to be doing a post-review discussion, kind of similar to what we did for Tears of the Kingdom. But today, I'm actually joined by Mario himself.
Hello, it's me, Mario. Nice to meet you. Okie dokie.
Hello,
what's
Mario.
up? Hello.
Hey, did you know? What's his name? The Mario from the Super Show. He's like, "Hey kids, don't do drugs. You'll go to hell before you die."
Oh, Captain Lou.
Yeah.
I love that clip.
Yeah, it's so funny. There's so many out of context Mario stuff from the early days, but today we're actually talking about the future of Mario, being Mario Wonder. So we both made our reviews of it, and actually, I'm not joined by Mario. I'm joined by Brandon. No, Brandon Miracle of Good Vibes Gaming, formerly of Break Room Arcade, I believe it was called.
Break Room Arcade.
Yeah. And I think we're both pretty much Mario super fans here. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to get my other hosts on for this because they are all busy. This is about that time of the year where things start ramping up for school and for work, and then it all dies down by probably New Year's, Christmas time. So it has been quite busy to get everybody together. So it's just going to be us two today, but we're going to be talking Mario Wonder. We both made reviews, and so I just kind of wanted to touch base again. It's been about a month since the game released-ish, 3 weeks, and see how we're feeling now since we were then, and also just kind of talk about the game, because man, was this thing incredible. So I kind of wanted to start off with, I don't really have a sort of a plan, but where is your Mario journey begin? Was it Mario World or Mario 3?
Oh God. Would you believe me if I told you it was Super Mario Kart?
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Super Mario Kart was my first Mario game ever. It was my first video game ever. I think I was 3 years old the first time I played a video game. My family, you're going to get a little history lesson. My family got a Super Nintendo for my older siblings, which was before I was born. There's a 14-year gap between me and my brother. And I want to say he took the Super Nintendo when he eventually moved out of my parents' house. And when I was old enough, he gave it back to my dad so that I could start playing it. I remember he plugged it in, plopped a controller in front of me, and turned on Mario Kart. And I have a vivid memory of holding the Super Nintendo controller and tilting it to turn. So I invented the Wii, just in case you were...
Wow, you're Mario and you invented the Wii? That's crazy.
Yep, that's me. I invented the Wii. It's canon.
It's interesting because as I went back and finally played Mario Kart Wii again, and it does not hold up as well as you think. But it just feels so natural to just turn the controller. I feel like I used to do that with racing games and all, even with other racing games. It just feels natural to turn even if you're pulling a button. That's how I do it.
Oh, yeah.
When I was playing the Booster Course path. I was doing that with my handheld Switch, still kind of doing it because it just feels natural.
Yeah, I was leaning into my turns, tilting my controller. Naturally, I got last place because, I'd never touched a video game before. I didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't even using the directional pad. My second game ever that I played was Super Mario World. Super Mario World is one of the most important games in the whole universe to me. If you had asked me before Mario Wonder came out what my favorite Mario game was, I'd probably give you two answers. One would be Super Mario Galaxy 2. The other would be Super Mario World. That game is a formative experience for me. It's the reason I'm a woo kind of guy. Yeah, I mean, Mario was everything to me as a kid. I would draw him at school all the time. If I ever had an art project in elementary school, Mario would end up in it somehow. Mario was my universe as a kid. So it means a whole lot to me. But yeah, Mario World, Super Mario Kart. Those are my opening moments as a gamer.
I honestly probably have a very, very similar experience. I'm not the best artist in the world, but even then, like, little doodles in class have always, Mario or Pokemon. Like, I always like had little. I had like a journal where like I had like direct predictions in it from
Hmm.
uh like during the Wii U era. I'm like, oh, they're gonna add Pokemon DLC to Mario Kart 8. But no, I always used to draw like little Mario's and Pokemon. But I've honestly have never met someone like you that is so into Mario as much as I am, or you're probably more so into Mario than I am, because everyone around me is either they grew up with PC games or they grew up with Zelda, which again is also a great franchise. Because I mean, I can see in
Which
your
I'm also a
background,
fan
yeah,
of.
yeah, you also like Zelda. um, but I feel like they're like Hylian, for example, one of our other hosts here. He I mean, his name is literally Hylian Hero. And we tried to play Mario Wii with him for our series that we did in anticipation for Mario Wonder, and he was just not feeling it. He's like, "This is not as fun as it used to be back in the day." And I'm like, "We're having such an amazing time." I don't know, but honestly, I've never been able to share that experience with someone before, so this is just kind of cool. Um, as for me and I grew up with the Wii. Obviously, I'm significantly younger than you, obviously. But I believe that my first Mario game, I want to say that it
Are we
was.
good?
Oh, did I disconnect?
Uh, Froze for like 30-ish seconds.
Okay, my internet tends to dip out, but I think we're okay. Sorry. What
No,
what
you're
did I
good. You were
last
just
leave saying?
talking of. You said that you grew up with the Wii, and then
Okay.
I lost you after that.
Okay. So actually, it wasn't that far. So I started with the Wii, obviously, because I'm probably a little bit younger than you. I started with the Wii, and I actually did have a Super Nintendo as well. It was my stepdad's, and probably my first 2D Mario experience had to be Mario World. I can't really pinpoint what my exact first Mario experience was, but generally I was attached to the 2D games, the 3D games, and the RPGs, surprisingly enough. I started with Bowser's Inside Story, and it's still one of my favorite games to this day. Um,
Great
but
game.
obviously, like my first two 2D Mario games were New Super Mario Bros. And Super Mario World. And what's interesting is that a lot of people tend to say, "Oh, my favorite Mario game is either Mario 3 or Mario World." That tends to be the general discourse online regarding the 2D Mario games is Mario World or Mario 3. I never get too many people saying New Super Mario Bros. But I think the problem
This
with
is the
that,
first time I've heard that, actually.
yeah, I think that again, as a person that also played Mario World as when I was younger, I think that it was a little too. I don't know if it was because I grew up in the modern era where things were a little easier, or I just had a really rough time with Mario World. Not to say that it was bad and I didn't have fun, but I was having a lot more fun of a time with New Super Mario Bros. On the DS. Um, and I
I mean,
think
Super Mario World is not an easy game,
no,
just in general.
since then I have completed it actually 100% twice, both as Mario and Luigi. Um,
Nice.
because I played it once for my channel on the NES Classic, the original game, and then I played it again, but on the All Stars version. And I kind of sped ran it so that I got to the when you get past the special world, you can go to like the New Game Plus or whatever. It's like the autumn version of the game.
Yeah.
And I basically had it so that I called it Super Luigi World, even though it's not really. So I just died as Mario and just played as Luigi for the entire time and in autumn mode. So it was kind of interesting. Um, Sorry. So I have completed it since then, and I do really enjoy Mario World. In fact, I probably prefer it to Mario 3 personally, just because there are a few levels where in Mario 3, like I just don't want to play, and I can think of them right now, particularly like the Cloud World. And then in
Oh
Mario
yeah.
World, it's just like there's so many creative levels in that game that I can remember, and I'm just like, man, I want to play that again. Like a lot of stuff on the bridge that I remember were just so many fun different mechanics that have since been translated into New Super Mario Bros. But I think over time, the new series just kind of felt stale because the original trilogy and or actually quadrilogy, if you really think about it, all had like unique art styles and unique play styles and momentums to them, I guess.
Hmm.
Whereas New Super Mario Bros. They all felt the same. But that original New Super Mario Bros. Game to me held so many memories because as a kid I was on the go a lot and I played on the DS, and even though I grew up with the Wii and the DS, felt I found myself playing portably most of the time. And when I did, that was New Super Mario Bros. DS. And I think that the problem with that, the way it didn't really stick out to a lot of people, is because it combines elements of 3 and World together to create kind of an experience that you've already had before, I guess. But I guess for me personally, because I sunk so much time into it, I prefer it to Mario World. I'm trying to justify my reason why I love New Super Mario Bros. DS, and I can't really explain why because everyone hates it for some reason.
I mean, I don't hate New Super Mario Brothers, not the original one at least. And to be fair too, I don't hate any of the new Super Mario Brothers games. Um, for me, it's just after New Super Mario Brothers Wii, there was just nothing exciting about them anymore. Because,
Yeah,
like you said, they all have the same art style. They all play pretty much identically to one another. New Super Mario Brothers was great. I was very excited for that as a kid because
oh yeah,
there hadn't been a 2D Mario game since Super Mario World,
right.
which came out in what 1991. So it had been, what was it, 2004 or 5 that DS came
I
out.
think
It
it
had
was
been like 14, 15
6.
years.
Yeah. So
Um,
yeah, no, it was. I think just because they were just doing the same thing again and again, people got burnt out, which kind of sucks. Which because I think a lot of people
it
probably
doesn't
skipped
help
2.
that it doesn't help that New Super Mario Brothers U and New Super Mario Brothers 2 came out in the same year.
I keep forgetting about that too because I didn't get it in the same year, so I always forget that they did come out in the same year, and it sucks
Yeah.
because out of the two, New Super Mario Bros. 2 actually has a lot of cool ideas that haven't been used in New Super Mario Bros. U and didn't come back until Mario Wonder, namely like the Skull Goombas and the Skull Piranha Plants. But there are
Hmm.
so many different ideas that 2 had that you just decided to forget existed. I'm not really sure what the development history is on that, but it's kind of weird because I went back and I played 2 last year, and I'm like, dang, these are some cool level ideas that haven't really been explored since. So,
I had a perfectly pleasant time playing New Super Mario Brothers 2, uh, but I haven't played it since it came out. And to be honest with you, I don't remember most of it.
I didn't either until like I said, I replayed it. So, um, yeah, there's like, and they obviously bring more stuff back from Mario World as well. There's I think, aren't the dinosaurs in that game? Am I mistaken? Oh, I think I cut out again. No, okay. I There's some enemy in New Super Mario Bros. 2 that came from Mario World that hadn't been seen, and then the background, like with the diagonal mountains, came back as well.
Oh yeah, that was still the era though where Nintendo was trying to recapture Mario Brothers 3 specifically,
Mm,
because they brought back the raccoon suit. Um, with 3D Land, they brought back the Tanuki suit. They have
yeah,
never brought back the cape feather outside of
Mario Kart 8.
Super Mario Maker 1 and 2. Oh, I guess, and Mario Kart 8. Which is
Yeah,
it's so aggravating because like this is my favorite power up ever, and I can't
yeah.
ever use it.
I'm indifferent to it. I've been so spoiled by the propeller suit and the acorn suit. Obviously, um, Super Mario Maker has really allowed me to love the acorn suit just based on special levels that they've curated for it. But the cape,
Hmm.
I've always had trouble understanding how to use it. For the longest time, I didn't understand how to fly because you can completely demolish levels with it, but I just never understood how to use it. I guess you have to press the back button over and over again, and
Yeah, so Mario will nosedive, you hit back, and then he'll bounce back up.
I
And you just
didn't
kind of keep doing
understand that
that.
for the longest time. And you know what made me figure it out? It was that one level in Mario Maker on 3DS of all things that was like telling you to collect all the coins, and I couldn't figure out what to do until I forced myself to look it up. I don't know if you remember that level if you ever played it, but essentially it has you collect X amount of coins and you have to use the cape to collect them all. This was one of the Super Mario Challenge levels, I believe, before story mode was a thing.
Were those in the Wii U version?
No, so the Wii U version I believe had some of the levels. I don't remember exactly how they were translated, but I think this is one of the unique levels to 3DS.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've never played the 3DS version.
Okay, again, like I said, I was a portable kid. That sounds so weird. I definitely found myself playing 3DS and DS a lot more of the time. So when they finally announced Mario Maker for 3DS, I instantly hopped on that version, and I built most of my levels there. And then I was really excited when they announced 2 because then I could, take it on the go and still have the Wii U sort of experience, even though they took out some stuff. Anyway, sorry, tangent. But no, I don't know where I go from here. Should we just transition into Wonder now?
Yeah,
Sorry,
sure.
I just completely lost my train of thought. Sorry. Uh, we kind of went on a tangent there, but no. Honestly, this game, when it was first announced, what were you thinking? Like, man, we finally got a new 2D Mario game. Like, were you thinking that we didn't need it after Mario Maker? Where was your head at?
I was hungry for it. I wanted a new 2D Mario game. More specifically, I wanted to see a new 2D Mario game that wasn't a new Super game. Uh, After Mario Maker, I was pretty much convinced we would never get a new Super Mario game again. Like whatever the next 2D Mario game is would be unique. And I felt very happy to be validated when that trailer came out
Yeah,
and Mario did not look like pasty uh homogenized 3D blank expression Mario that we've had for so long. Uh yeah, I was really excited because Mario Wonder was finally trying something that was actually new, and that's something I say
yeah,
in my review. Because after 4 new Super Mario Brothers games, they're not new anymore.
yeah. I I thought that was kind of an interesting thing, but then when Nintendo started doing that for other things, like the new Nintendo 3DS, like come on, like
Bad name.
it's so
Don't do
funny.
that.
It's so bad. I like, oh yeah, the next Switch is gonna be the new Nintendo Switch. Like,
Oh God.
but no, I honestly didn't know. I was a little worried for the future of the 2D series just because Mario Maker was a thing. I kind of figured that was kind of going to be the future of 2D Mario. Um, uh, and then like they would just continue to make 3D games. I would never in a million years think that they would treat a 2D game as if it was like the next mainline game. Even since the new Super Mario Bros. Games, they always felt like a side project, I guess. Something that they could just cobble together if they needed a Mario game for the holiday. Where Mario Wonder felt like it was finally time to bring 2D back to like the main series because that's what it was before, before the 3D games. So I was feeling a little worried, just because I think particularly what set that in was because of Mario Maker 2. Because
Mhm.
when they released Mario Maker and it was doing so well, and we were getting all those updates like 8 billion levels were made, and I believe they said somewhere in there in some press release or something like that they said that they wanted to take ideas from Mario Maker and people's levels and translate that into a new game. I might be misremembering that, but it sounded like something that they had said. And then when they released Mario Maker 2, I was like, oh, I guess they're just throwing that out the water. And then they also had New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe as well that same year, um, which also was like, okay, it sounds like they're trying to put a button on the new Soup series. Like, I really wasn't sure what they were gonna do for coming forward, and then all the rumors started happening right before that direct, and I was I was so happy to be wrong. I was so happy to finally see that breath of fresh air for Mario, and I couldn't be happier. So
Yeah, it was a long time coming. One thing they came out and said too is that there was no deadline for the
Yes.
production and development of this game. They just kind of made the game until they were satisfied with it.
Yeah.
And can we keep doing that?
For
let's
like every
let's do that
game,
for every
please.
game, please.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah, it's such a special thing. Um, Super Mario Brothers Wonder, it for me, I think it takes most of its inspiration from Super Mario World. As a big World fan, I can see it all over that game. Uh, but it's also cemented its own identity. Like I look at Super Mario Brothers Wonder and I don't see any other Mario game. I just see Super Mario Brothers Wonder.
I will say I do see a little bit of New Super Mario Bros. U in it. I don't know why, but some of the Poplin houses look like Toad houses from that game.
Oh
I don't
yeah.
I think that's just the Mario style that they've gone with nowadays. But like I especially coming from Super Nintendo world, like I just see the new Soup U isms everywhere.
hmm Yeah, that kind of 2D on 2D look or 3D on 2D look that they've been using is still there, of
Yeah,
course, but I don't know, it feels different here. The
yeah,
way the characters are positioned towards the camera, they're not, it's more like Smash Ultimate where they're kind of turned towards the screen a little bit so you can
yeah.
see their faces.
I
Um,
believe people were saying that they were surprised that the art for the each of the character models was or were 3D models. Like a lot of people were surprised to find that out when the assets were ripped. So
oh yeah. I love looking at them too, especially from the front, and they just look all wrong
was
because of the way they're proportioned.
was it Super Mario Party where people were saying Nintendo's too afraid to show Yoshi from the front?
Um, yeah, this Mario Wonder for me was pretty surprising from beginning to end. One thing I really appreciate about this game is just how much variety there actually is.
Yeah,
Um, I mentioned this in the review, but they very rarely reuse a wonder effect between levels. And if they do, it's because they're deliberately trying to make a harder level than the previous one.
yes,
Um, it's there's like, and you don't have to use them in levels. Like obviously, if you want 100%, you should be doing that. But if you don't, then you're just playing a Mario level. And even if you're not touching them, I still think the levels are very unique. Like every level has its own identity, Wonder Seed or not.
yeah. I guess we can kind of go into this as well. I I think that they had this weird thing going on where the new Soup series had like you had your grassland, your desert, and all that. And like even if they changed the order around a little bit, which I think they kind of did with New Super Mario Bros. U, not really, but kind of, it like every single level was like a grassland level. Whereas and then in 3D World they had a grassland, or or say for example they had like the Canyon World, which I think was like World like 4 in 3D World, and it had a grassland level in the middle of it for like no reason. So it's like you either have complete
hmm
consistency or no consistency. It's actually, especially in 3D Land, 3D Land made the worlds didn't make any sense. This game, it still makes
Oh yeah,
sense
didn't care.
contextually. Yeah, in this game, it makes sense contextually, but it's still like a unique styled level. For example, we start off in like the traditional grassland levels, but the second level is not like an underground level. It's like this weird like little forest in the corner. Like you can still see in the background that you're in a grassland. Hell, in the first level you can see the Mushroom Kingdom in the background.
hmm
The second level you can still tell that you're in a grassland, but you entered this weird secluded forest. Or halfway into World One, it's still not grassland anymore. It's more of like a canyon area, but you can still see where you just were in the background. So it's like you really feel like you're going on an adventure, and it makes sense in the context of the game. I believe later on too, you go into what is typically like the forest level, but it's like this weird geometrical. I forgot what the world is called. I always forget what the worlds are called. But it has like this weird geometrical shapes and the the waterfalls, And
Oh, you're talking about the Japanese inspired one
yeah, yeah,
with the Kung Fu Master guy?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, it's what you would think as the traditional like foresty level, but I believe only like one level is really like a foresty level. Every other one they use the same background elements, but it feels like each level has a different theme to it, even though they're still in the same area. If that makes sense. I'm trying to. It's like a nice balance between 3D World and the new Soup series.
Yeah, I agree. I think my least favorite worlds in just about any 2D Mario game are the deserts, which sucks because they're usually World 2. Not in this case, but even the desert world I found to be really varied. Like I talk about it in my review. There's the level with the dancing ninjas,
Yeah,
which I don't know why this is in a sand kingdom, but here it is.
yeah.
Um,
I remember seeing
there's
before the
also
game
that
came out.
desert.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I remember seeing before the game came out that there was going to be ninjas finally coming back. I think since World, and I just wondered how they were going to be incorporated. I think this is the most hilarious way they could have possibly brought them back.
I love them. Ninjas have had such a weird existence in this series. They're in one level in Super Mario World.
And they originate from
Uh,
two, I believe.
I think you're right. Yeah. So I'm happy to see them here.
Yeah,
Uh, but yeah, then you have another level in the Desert Kingdom it's like that castle
yeah.
where
I
there's a bunch of
believe
puzzles to solve.
there's a few of them. I think there's like two or three. They each have different elements. One is like the on-off blocks. The other one is like
Right.
pushing blocks. And even though you're in the castle, you're still like in a desert. It's more like an Aladdin style castle. It's like
Hmm.
it still fits the theme, even though you're in a different. Yeah, you know what I mean. I'm trying to describe what the word is, but it's really nice because it feels like you're going through an adventure and it makes sense. It's not just like grassland, grassland, grassland. It's like you're going to these different places and it's very varied inside. Yeah.
I appreciate that despite having what in reality is just the same 7, 8 themes we always have in a Mario game, they're recontextualized and we go to the clouds in World 2, but it's all pink and fluffy and cotton
Yeah.
candy almost.
It feels new.
Uh, it it feels actually new.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice because I can only go to the same looking desert in a Mario game so many times in my entire lifetime before I get tired of it.
I found that it was kind of cute, at least in New Super Mario Bros. U, that they're all like food, which was kind of cool. Because
Yeah,
yeah,
they
acorn,
tried.
layer cake, ice cream, sparkling water. Well, not food, but edible items. Peach. That was pretty funny. They just had that at the end. Peach. Um, but no, this
That's
this.
bringing me back to Mario World with Donut Plains and
Oh
Choco
yeah,
Mountain and all those.
yeah. They had that too, kind of. Then they had the underground area, kind of. What was that called? Vanilla Dome. Yeah.
Yep.
It was, yeah, it was just straight up Mario World. Now that I think about it, I
Hmm.
had to think about it for a sec. Like they have food there too. Um, no, but I don't know. It's just they finally. I don't know. I just feel like they actually had some kind of incentive to take their time with this. I guess, and I guess they literally had as much time as they needed to, but it didn't feel like they just all right. Well, we have a template. Let's use it. You know.
I I feel like they are privileged on the Switch. The Switch is just doing so well, so
Yeah.
they didn't even really need to make a Mario game and release it when they
Yeah.
did. So that afforded them the time to just kind of let it be. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if this doesn't ever happen again.
Yeah.
Uh, like especially if the next model of the Switch or Switch 2 or whatever it ends up being doesn't perform as well as the current system. I hope that's not the case, but if it
The
is, we
Switch
might see
U.
more games rush to market like the Wii U era, which oh god, I would not look forward to that. Um, but yeah, you can definitely see just how that unrestricted development time has affected this game front to back. Uh, It's so much that they just had, what was it, 12 playable characters just
Yeah,
casually.
yeah. I
In what world do they ever do that?
never in any world, unless it's I guess Mario Kart Tour. Uh,
Yeah,
but I
Dr. King Boo.
Dr. King, Dr. Goomba Stack.
Oh, my favorite.
No, but it sucks too because I can tell how much love that they poured into this game. And I don't think it'll ever really be appreciated other than by the fans. It's like I see Game of the Year coming up and Mario Wonder maybe being referenced as like the family game. And it's like in the greater uh, gaming world at large, I don't think it's going to be as appreciated because non Nintendo fans aren't going to pick this game up because it's not like a title like Tears of the Kingdom that a must buy, I guess, for the system. For us, it is, of course, it is, but just kind of as the full gaming sphere, it's like it's not going to be as appreciated, I guess, and it sucks because they did put so much time into this.
When you look at something like the Game Awards, it's typically everything in the Game of the Year category is AAA, big budget, um, narrative driven games, stuff like that. And Mario just doesn't fit that bill.
Yeah,
Super Mario Odyssey, maybe, but, or even Mario Galaxy. But yeah, the 2D series just doesn't get looked at the same way. And that's true of all 2D games, to be honest. They,
I
they,
mean,
they get looked at as lesser,
yeah. Oh my God, when they Nintendo
which,
charging $60 for Metroid Dread, come on. I hate that sentiment so much. Like why? Like why?
yeah, it's bad.
And it sucks because people do like 2D games, like Hollow Knight and Shovel Knight. They both got the appreciation that they probably deserved. Um, and they're indie
Metroid Dread
games.
was one of my favorite games that came out that year, and that's a 2D game. It's not Metroid Prime 4 as much as I'm looking forward to that game. Metroid Dread was fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, people just look at that and they scoff. It's happening again with WarioWare, and WarioWare is only what, $50.
Well,
People
WarioWare
look
is
at it and like, oh,
different.
it's
It's
just a
like
2D minigame collection.
I personally am not like a super fan of the WarioWare games. I think that's a little different because it is a mini game collection, and I think that's the same way with like Mario Party. It's like it will never.
Hmm.
I don't think it could ever possibly be on the same level as Spider-Man because that's what it sets out to be as a mini game collection. So
Right, but like you look at cost like that, and even just as you described, that's only ever going to be valued how you perceive it.
yeah,
Um, and we see that happening to 2D games a lot.
yeah,
So yeah, I don't think Mario Wonder is going to hit the top of any Game of the Year lists. I think it's a Game of the Year contender for me.
yeah.
If I were to be honest with you right now, I don't think it is my Game of the Year, but it is definitely up there.
It's gonna be hard because this year Nintendo pulled out all the stops. It's kind of crazy. So I, it's
I
definitely
put
gonna be difficult.
135 hours into 7 days after Tears of the Kingdom came out. So
Yeah,
I'm pretty confident at this stage that Tears of the Kingdom is my Game of the Year, but um, that doesn't devalue Super Mario Brothers Wonder in
yeah.
my mind at all.
hmm I
It's still
mean,
a great game. It's still one of the best Mario games we've had in a very long time. Uh, and just because we don't see it on the top of Game of the Year lists, I don't think should mean anything. But public opinion can be really weird about stuff like that.
yeah. All right, I think it's about time that we have some salt going on, some fighting maybe.
Uh oh.
How do you feel about online?
How do I feel about online?
Yeah,
So, uh, my original playthrough of the game, my first run, 100%, I did completely solo. Uh, well, not completely solo. I played local to just be pure Brandon and Mario time. Um, but I was actually pretty excited for the system that they came up with. New Super Mario Brothers. I love the chaos and the craziness and throwing people off the edge and bumping into each other and the kind of ridiculousness that comes from that. I love that. I do appreciate that a lot. But if I'm being perfectly honest with myself, I think Mario Wonder does it better just because everybody can have the same experience playing at the same time uh, because they're not at each other's whim, I guess.
Hmm.
Like you can obviously save one another, but I think it's a more pleasant experience, and Mario Wonder is aiming to be just a jolly, whimsical, good time,
Yeah.
and it achieves that this way, especially online. I played online after beating the game with some of my friends. I went into random lobbies, and it's just pleasant. People
Yeah.
are just having a good time, and you just get to be there with them, and I think there's a lot of value in that. Um, Especially given that rooms can be up to 12 people. It's kind of fun just seeing everybody running around on the world map. Up to 4 people can be in a level at the same time and see one another. It's just nice. I appreciate it for that, but I know there are people who would rather it be closer to what we had before.
Yeah, I'm kind of in. I haven't fully been able to experience like the random lobbies. I played a couple local or not local. Like the friends rooms that you can
Friend rooms.
curate. We did a couple of like races in my completed file, but I think that the problem is that you're missing out on like what 3D World had, which was a a multiplayer experience where this feels more like you're playing your own game and other people just happen to be in it. And I think that's my problem. I think that it's a unique take on multiplayer. I think I like how people compared it to Soul. Excuse me, sorry. I've been voice cracking a lot today. Um,
Oh, good.
I love how people were comparing it to Souls and how they took, assuming that they took inspiration from that. It's a unique take on what multiplayer can be, and I'm sure it could be cool to kind of experience the game from beginning to end with that. Again, a new way to experience Mario with the how you can get revived or they can give you items or I just could never see myself if I did actually play it that anyone would really interact with me because of the way that I play. I just kind of speed run through the levels and I appreciate each little element, but like the way that I play, it's like I don't think anyone's gonna stop and like do the the crouching thing to communicate with you with me. Um, I I just don't see
I'm a
myself.
similar way.
Yeah,
Like I am very much a like I'm hitting the grindstone. I'm here to play the video game.
yeah,
Which is why I didn't go online in my first playthrough, and I saved it for after the fact, where I know I could slow down and just kind of enjoy it for what it is.
yeah.
Um,
I think that's what I'm gonna do my next playthrough. I started recording a series for YouTube because I had a blind playthrough and then I want to do one again, but I can turn on online now. So just see how it see if I like it or not. I think just the element that's missing is that like with 3D World and the older games is that it's a multiplayer um, a multiplayer campaign, I guess. You're all in the same game. You're all collecting the same green stars, all star coins. If I were to say, okay, I want to make a multiplayer series with some of the guys, and unfortunately they're all out of state. Like with you guys are all in the same room, right? It The 3D World Online made it so much easier for that. It's just like you're playing 3D World online, whereas this game it feels more like we're all playing our own solo games just together, if that makes any sense. And I think that I don't like I think it's fun to throw people around, but I don't think that's the core element. I think the core element is that this is the same game, and I think we like to put it in a better perspective. It's like how what if those star coins that you just can't reach, but you clutch it out by throwing one of your friends like. It's not about the throwing and the bumping into each other because that is fun. I think it's the element of that you're playing the same game, I guess, is what I feel like is missing.
yeah, I mean, I felt a little bit of that too. Me and Daniel on one of our Good Vibes Arcade streams, um, we tried to help my wife Michaela play through the game because she's notoriously
Mhm.
horrible at platformers. Just ask her. Um, and we opted to play online uh, because I wanted friend heart points that mean nothing, but I wanted them
Your
because
completionist get
I
999.
no, number go up, brain happy. um, yeah, so we did that, and there were instances where I couldn't really help her. Like she was struggling against the first boss fight against Bowser Jr., and there's not anything I can do about it other than just bring her back to life. Um, so there is an element of that is lost, and I do recognize that. Um, it'd be nice if there was another way to play the game online that allows you to exist in a single instance of the game instead of everybody in their own instance. Excuse me. For me, as a 29-year-old man with a baby, just being able to hop online and see that my friends are there and playing, and we can just kind of go at our own pace, get in a Discord call, and just hang out. Like, for me, at this stage in my life, that's a lot more valuable.
Mhm.
Because most of us, we can't find the time to get all together and hammer out a campaign. Like, I have one friend I can reliably like say we're gonna play this game from beginning to end together, uh, and he's the only one I can schedule that kind of thing with. Um,
I mean, it could really just be content brain rot that I feel like I need to be playing a multiplayer campaign rather than multiple single player campaign. I think, like I said, the little online that I have played, like it's fun. Like there's nothing bad about it. I just think that it's just missing a core element, and like I think that again, like I said, I think it's just content brain rot where I feel like we like it'll end up feeling like a single player experience to the viewer, and it's just like, well, I can't think like that. I gotta think about it as a game. Just having fun.
no, I get it from that perspective for sure. I do love the whole race block thing. Nearly every level in the game has race blocks, which is awesome. So there's a competitive way you can play most of the game together. But yeah, it would be nice if there was a more strictly cooperative experience that was available as well. Um, I think this game could get DLC. I'm not convinced it will, because it was developed for as long as it was needed to be.
Mhm.
So they may have already just done everything they wanted to, and that's fine if they don't. I don't think it doesn't need it. Um, but if it did, that would be a nice little extra update.
Yeah.
Though, if you want my honest opinion, I think the gameplay and the online is set up this way because they weren't confident it would work otherwise.
Oh
Because
yeah. I mean, we know how
I don't
Mario.
know if you've played Super Mario Maker 2 online,
I
but
have
that is a
gotten the best of
horrible,
it.
horrible experience.
I fortunately got the best of it. I don't usually play with random people. I did
hmm
hop in a room with my friend. We had some buffers here or there, but because it was just us two, we were fine. So I don't even know the worst of it. Um, but our experience with 3D World was actually fantastic. And I'm surprised we have two different games on the same system that have varying levels of online where one just usually doesn't work, period. And 3D World, again, with four people, three people in Arizona, one of those people were in northern Arizona, and the other person was like all the way on the East Coast. And we had some stutters as normal online should, but or will
hmm
inevitably. I shouldn't say should. But it was a pretty smooth experience. We've only had like I think two crashes out of our full playthrough of the game, which is very surprising for Nintendo's online. So I completely agree with you. I think that they were afraid that it wasn't gonna work, and what they opted for with the
I
shadow
honestly think
are
that's why.
yeah.
Yeah,
I totally agree with you
I
for sure.
it's tough though because like they have that new network system that they've been using. Uh, I
That's
forget
not
the
on
name of
Windows
it.
XP.
Yeah, that. Monster Hunter Rise ran on that on Switch. I can't remember if Splatoon 3 does or not, but by and large, the games that have been put on that have worked better.
Yeah.
Um, Mario Party Superstars and Super Mario Party especially have really, really solid online, like surprisingly good online. Um, Obviously, the board game side of it probably isn't very difficult to do since it's turn based,
Yeah.
but the mini games, like they
Oh yeah.
work.
I think some of
Um,
those mini games you need some accuracy with button inputs and stuff, especially with multiplayer. So that's
yeah,
surprising. I'm not a Mario Party fan, so I don't know. Just because I didn't have any friends when I was younger, so I didn't grow up with that. But
I don't know how I'm a Mario Party fan. I played Mario Party 2 by myself.
oh
Mario Party
man,
4, 5, 6, and 7 by myself, but
yeah,
I'm
I
still
could
a Mario
not do
Party
that.
fan.
I could not do that. But no, I'm surprised by that. That's good. That's good though. I mean, keep making the Nintendo Online better because I'm tired of PlayStation people crapping on our online.
I mean, it definitely needs to be better than it is, but it has been getting better, and
I
that's
mean,
worth noting.
yeah, especially because we are going to be starting getting. I mean, assuming that the next Switch is more powerful, that we're going to start getting some more our Call of Duties in the next few years. Um,
The thing with
we don't
something like
want,
that,
yeah.
though, is that those games are very likely just going to run on their own servers. Uh,
You would think Fortnite does run on its own server, but I no, it's terrible. It runs
oh
it
God.
runs so I think that they literally opted so that if you're playing on Switch, you will 99% of the time run into mobile players. Because of how
Oh,
bad it runs
yeah.
on the Switch. Hell, it probably runs better on most mobile devices than it does on the Switch, and
I
it
think it does.
sucks. It is.
Yeah.
I'm not like an avid Fortnite player, but I have been playing a lot more recently because of Fortnite OG, and it. I am so glad I have a PS5 now because it would not work on the Switch. I'm surprised it's even there anymore.
It's I mean, I've had a lot of experience with multiplayer games on Nintendo platforms that do run on their own servers. Because I'm a Monster Hunter guy, and Monster Hunter Tri on Wii ran on Capcom servers, and it was incredible online. It ran and worked perfectly. Uh, and that was on a system where Brawl played like a PowerPoint presentation, you know?
Yeah.
Uh, so I, I'm still confident that third-party games, for the most part, will probably be fine. It's just the first-party stuff that I'm
Yeah.
worried about.
Yeah. Um. So yeah. Anyway. Back to Mario Wonder. Was there any like really downsides to the game? I think that we could probably both think of one particular one being the bosses, which is
Oh
just
yeah,
it's just man everything. I think you said that in your review as well. It seems so weird that everything in this game feels so creative and new and fresh, and then the bosses are just the same that we've had. And I mean, we say since like the Wii days. The Wii days is where they really, dialed that style in. But I think that some of those bosses were in Mario World. The shell going back and forth.
Mario 3
Mario
even,
3, yes, yeah,
and
even
Mario World.
worse. That
Uh,
like it's not a bad boss style, and they did do some creative things with the wonder effects, but just like what like New Super Mario Bros. On the DS had more unique bosses. What's going on? What's happening?
I'd rather fight a giant Goomba than Bowser Jr. 3 times any day of the
It's
week.
like, I mean, that's what I mean. Yoshi's Island is praised for some of its bosses, and 90% of the time it's just big Koopa. It's just like it.
Yoshi's Island is the blueprint for how to do a boss fight
Yeah,
right.
and again,
And
like I said, they have simple ideas, but the boss battle itself is actually unique.
yeah, I I do give Mario Wonder some points, like you said, for the wonder effects, but also the big thing for me was that Bowser Jr. has iframes after you hit him,
Okay,
and you
that's
can't
yeah.
hit him again. And that's so nice because, like,
They
in
kind of
all
had
the
that
Mario games,
in DS a little bit. When he gets the bandana, you can't jump on him again because he'll hide in a shell. I don't know if
mhm,
you've ever noticed that, but it was only in the later half of the game. But it's kind of
yeah,
similar. But I think that is probably one of the biggest upgrades that we've had to this battle system. So
It's just nice to not have a fight be trivialized just because you can take advantage of them just getting out of their shell and just hitting them.
yeah, I think they did that
So
on
you,
purpose so that you could see the next wonder effect. Because usually,
yeah,
the first one the first one was with the moving platforms, right? And you wouldn't if you would have been able to hit them, you wouldn't have been able to see the honey, the honey effect. So,
that's the second one. I think
oh, that's the second
first
one.
one is the first one. He makes you big.
Oh, he makes you big. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
So if you were to hit him just immediately, or slap your trunk at him multiple times, then it would be over before he could become big. You know.
yeah.
So
It's. I'm glad that they did that. I hope that that's something that they do just going forward because I don't want a boss fight to be so nothing.
hmm
Um, Yeah, I wish there was more than just Bowser Jr. Not even every world had a boss fight at the end at all.
I think that was an
Uh,
interesting twist at the very least. That some worlds didn't have a boss, but they could have at least
or
gave you
even a
some sort
castle.
of, yeah, they could have at least had some sort of challenge before you get the royal seed, because the I think there's only two of them that don't have a castle. One of them is you just there is a final challenge per se, but you just talk to
The
the guy and
trials.
yeah, you talk to the guy and he gives it to you. The other one in the slime
Forest.
world, it you just go through like another wonder effect slime. You just go through the thing and you're there. It's just like we didn't really earn this, did we? I mean, you kind of did because you had to go through multiple secret exits to get there, but it didn't feel deserved. Like, at least make it feel deserved.
On the one hand, it was kind of nice to just be able to move on. We didn't need to go through the same song and dance where you go through a castle and you fight a boss at the end. And it was kind of nice that it changed it up.
Mm,
I wish there had been something more substantial, like you said,
yeah.
in their places, but not my biggest complaint. Was not having boss fights in those two worlds. Definitely more frustrated that we just fight Bowser Jr. 3 times
Yeah.
or 4 times or however many times.
Yeah.
Um, uh, Outside of that, this is a complaint I have just about every Mario game, so it's really nothing new for me, and that's just the game's a little too easy. Uh, it's hard for me to fault the game for that though, because it is a family game first.
hmm
So that's fine. Like the game for me was more about the fun and the creativity and just having a good time. And I definitely got that out of this. I mentioned in my review that I appreciated that you could go to Special World. There was an entrance to Special World in every world.
That's very
Um,
Mario World as well, because the Star Roads
yeah.
were everywhere. I love that idea. When I first discovered that, I
And
was like, the first thing I said was, "Oh my god, it's Mario World!"
yeah, it was awesome that they did that. And each entrance has its own level that you can only do if you find that entrance. And I like that too. It allowed the game to spread out some of those difficult levels over the course of the entire adventure rather than just being at the back of the game,
hmm
which I appreciate. But I just wish there was a little bit more. Like after Special World, I kind of wished there was a Star Road
Another
or a
secret
Super
world.
Special World
Yeah,
because the game doesn't quite hit its difficulty peak. I don't think it could have definitely gotten harder.
you say that, and I still haven't beaten the badge level at the end of the game.
Oh, you haven't?
No. I grinded it for a little bit. I haven't gotten back to it, so maybe I could beat it on the first try when I come back to it. But it was pretty difficult, and some people didn't like know how to beat it. I saw a lot of people struggling with like not.
Really?
I don't want to describe the level too much in detail if you haven't played it yet, or people haven't played it
Oh
yet.
yeah.
But there's a part where like you have like this squishy bridge, and it like moves along. People didn't understand if you ground pounded it, it moved faster, and people were like they're like, oh, you have to damage boost through the piranha plants. And I was like,
Oh
what?
no, no, you don't.
No. um, so yeah, yeah, like I said, I'm struggling with that final level there. So I thought that there was at least some difficulty. There was two levels that were particularly hard for me. Was that level and the second or the special Goomba level? Those two ones were pretty challenging for me. Everything else was just kind of a brief. Even like finding the secret exits was kind of easy too, which sucks because the new Soup series actually has some interesting secret exits sometimes. Um, so
Same with Mario World.
yeah, that
Yeah,
too.
they
Yeah.
were a little easy to come across. I don't think that's a bad thing, but it would have been nicer if some of them were a little harder to come by. That said, the one in the second level of the game I didn't find until
Oh
after I
my
beat
God,
World 2.
yes. I was like, why is there not a check mark on here? And I kind of started playing the game before like any walkthroughs had come out because I think people started releasing walkthroughs and Nintendo shut them down like immediately. Um,
Hmm.
I was like, where could this secret exit possibly? And I finally found it. Somehow I found it on my own, and it was kind of reminiscent of the new Soup games where it's like even though it's not underground, it's still in that upward hidden section,
Yeah.
like the warp zone in the original game. So it's kind of reminiscent of that, and I was like, that some of the stuff is at least they're some of them they're easy to find in retrospect, but like thinking about it, there are pretty creative hidden secret exits. Like there's one in World 3, or sorry, the Desert World. I think that's World 4, where you have to kill one of the push and chucks, which I don't know what they're actually called, but I want to call them push and chucks. Um, and you have to push him back, and the I just completely skipped over it on my first try. The second
Hmm.
try, I pushed him into the hole, and it somehow formed a pipe, which I guess is kind of cryptic, but it kind of followed along with the same themes of the level, which made sense. But I didn't realize it was going to be a secret exit. I thought it was just going to be coins. That's why I skipped over
Hmm.
because it was glowing a little bit, telling you, but I thought it was just going to be coins. So
Yeah, I think. Excuse me. I haven't even eaten yet. I don't know what I'm burping up.
I mean,
Uh, uh, yeah, I think some of them could have been harder to find, but overall, I think the way you get to them is just the more interesting half of the half of the equation. So
yeah,
I'm pretty satisfied with that. Overall difficulty is really just where the struggle comes from me, because I'm a very experienced Mario player. You know, I've been playing Mario for almost 30 years. So, you know, they have to try pretty hard to make it difficult for me now, and I recognize that, and that's fine.
and I don't know how much
Um,
you got into Mario Maker, but if you're someone who's used to Mario Maker, this game must be a breeze. Like for experienced Mario Maker players, it's just like, yeah, it's fun to kind of like come back to your roots and play a Nintendo made Mario game. But man, some of the stuff they have to go through, it's like
yeah.
all those Kaizo levels, and it's like, and then you have this baby game in front of you. It's like,
I appreciate Kaizo levels for what they are. They're not quite what I'm looking for. Like, I want a strict Mario adventure, and I want the adventure to have some challenge, not,
yeah,
a block that I didn't know was there is going to knock me into a pit or a frame perfect jump. I don't need anything
yeah,
quite like that. Um, but just something to push a little bit harder. I think New Super Luigi U was a great middle
yeah.
ground for me. Um, that game is much more difficult than the main game. The shortened timer is actually rough. Um, though I appreciate Wonder just not having a timer at all. I think that's better.
I think
Uh,
that allows them to be more creative with the level design too, just
yeah,
because it you can go for as long as or as short as you want. Where some of the levels typically end up being on the shorter side, unfortunately. Um, it allows them to like it allows you to fully come over the level as if it was like a 3D game and find those wonder seeds. So I think it's kind of cool.
yeah. I would often find myself stressing over not being able to find a star coin in the new Super games just because that
The
timer's
time.
ticking down. I'm
Hmm.
like, I don't have all day to look around here. I got to get to the flagpole.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I appreciate that. Um, oh God, I lost my train of thought. What was I
Luigi
talking
U,
about?
the difficulty.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate Luigi U. If we do get any kind of DLC for Super Mario Brothers Wonder, something similar to that would be kind of fun.
That's what I was
Um,
thinking as well. Yeah.
and I don't know if they'll do this, but it'd be kind of cool if it starred Wario and Waluigi instead.
You know,
Super
you know,
Wario Brothers Wonder.
you know that the the original two characters for Mario Wii were supposed to be Wario and Waluigi, and for some reason, they decided not to do it. I don't know why,
This is
but
their opportunity. They'd have to
I
make
know
Waluigi short, but I don't
they
think I care.
they they need to make Wario like a main series again. I don't. I mean, WarioWare games are fine and all, but like because I don't think they've ever had the official tie-in like why Waluigi exists yet. Like Daisy exists because of Super Mario Land, and the WarioWare games exist, or the Wario Land games exist because it transitioned from Mario Land, which was main series, and then Waluigi just is this entity that exists.
He's got Mario Tennis. That's about all he's got.
Yeah, so I'm hoping
He's
one day
never
that we get
even
his own game, or Wario Land like brings him back or
he's
something.
he's never even been in a main series
I
game
know.
ever.
That's what I'm saying. They
Uh,
need to.
I'm wondering if there's a part of Nintendo that doesn't want a character that they didn't create to have a starring role in a main Mario game. Like
uh,
I I look at Miyamoto and I'm like, he would do that.
At least we
Uh,
didn't get like Waru Peachy. That would have been even worse.
I kind of want to know what that would have been like, to be honest. Uh, but yeah, I would love to see that as a DLC. It would be a great opportunity to add two more playable characters. That gives you more standees to collect.
Yeah.
Um,
Ooh, I forgot about that. So
yeah.
I had a problem with the standees.
Uh-oh.
I went to the end of the game, or I went to, or not the end of the game, the Star Special World. Sorry. And I found I'm like, I'm gonna save this for later. Like usually the special worlds will save for the end of the game, and I didn't know that you could buy standees, or without the gotcha element. So
Oh no.
I went throughout the entire game, and I was like, I don't have anything to spend my purple coins on because I'm waiting to I don't need to get all the standees right now. I didn't want to do that, but I capped out at 999 for the entire game, and I went back and like I bought a few every once in a while, and I bought some lives, and I bought some some wonder seeds. Like I had plenty for all that, but I always found myself back at 999. But if I would have just beat that level in the special world, I would have been able to get all the ones that I need, and every time I cap out at 999, I could go back and get some more. And now I have to go back and grind for flower coins because I I I don't. I mean, I spent them all to get some more standees, but I
Ouch.
I I capped off, and now I can't go back and collect more 10 coins because now they're not worth 10 anymore. They're worth 3. So now I have to go back and grind, which sucks. It's like the worst way to play. So
I think after you complete a world, though, they add a coin
yes. So
grabbing game to every world.
if you die or get a game over, and if you complete the game once, every world will have that coin game unlocked, which is something that's been in the new soup games.
Yeah.
You it doesn't give you that much purple coins. I can tell you that. It's more, I feel like, for lives more than anything, so
Hmm.
you can get back up to where you were. It does not provide that many, and what sucks is like everyone's like, you don't even need to grind for purple coins because there's plenty enough coins in the game that you'll be able to get them all over time. And I'm like,
Yeah,
I
there
messed
is.
up. Where's the grinding spot? And everyone's like, oh, you can go do jet run over and over again, and it gives you like 10 coins because again the 10 coins are worth 3 now. So it's like I ruined it for myself.
Ouch.
Yeah,
That hurts me.
yeah,
Yeah, I was buying standees throughout the entire game, and I played that special world level as soon as I got to it.
yeah.
So thankfully, I came across that. That said, I didn't use the character specific standee shops until I had like 20 left to get. Um,
I made a mistake.
I don't know if I said this in my review, but my second ever standee, or maybe it was my third, it was in the first 3, was a double, a dupe.
Oh no.
And I'm
How
like,
is
I
that even
have
possible?
I have like 2 out of 144, or I guess 14 because you start with 1 for each character. And I'm like, how in the world did I get a duplicate already?
Yeah,
I don't know if the game was just trying to tell me that that was a thing, but God, they
it
sure
was.
did.
Yeah. Oh man. At least another thing too is like I was dead set on playing Daisy because usually when I do like my Let's Plays and stuff, I always play as Mario. So I was like, okay, I have to play as the unique character here. And I was a little worried as well that if you played as Yoshi or Nabbit, that it wouldn't like like they would tick your save file like they usually do with like the white
Oh yeah.
Tanuki suit. So I was a little worried to play as them. Turns out it doesn't, which could be good or bad, depending on how you feel on that. And so I was playing as Daisy for my entire playthrough, uh, and I was cool about the standees is I got to see some of the wackier wonder transformations, and like, man, Nabbit looks so cursed in all of his wonder transformations because he still has the weird little rabbit ears. It's great.
I look at Nabbit and he's just Ravio in another world.
We still don't know who his real identity is. We know who Ravio is. Spoilers for that game, but we don't know who Nabbit is.
Why does Nabbit have the same mask as Bowser Jr.?
Well, people were theorizing that he stole it, and Bowser Jr. had to create his own. Like literally,
Which
Bowser.
is funny because he literally hand drew his first one.
Yeah, so I thought people were saying that like, oh, Bowser Jr.'s original mask was given to him by Bowser, and then Nabbit stole it from him, and then he had to create his own. I don't know where that
Oh, I
theory
see.
came about, but
That's funny though.
yeah, it's like he's such a weird character. People love him. Like people wanted him in Mario Kart 8 Booster Course Pass, but man, he's a weird one.
I love rabbits. For people that know me online, I have 3 of my own.
Oh, nice.
Nabbit does not do it for me. I don't like that little man.
You like Ravio?
I love Ravio. Um, and I say this in jest, like I don't hate
Yeah.
Nabbit, but Nabbit does nothing for me in terms of
Yeah.
being a Mario character.
Yeah, it's so weird because it's just like he was created in Mario. He's in like exactly 2 mainline games and like 1 spin-off. And it's like it's so strange. It's like what
Like
is
I don't
this
really
guy?
understand why he's here.
Or why he
Like
looks like
I
Ravio.
I never chased him in Mario U. I just didn't want to.
He was supposed to be like the replacements for the Toad things in Mario Wii, which was like it was kind of cool. It gave a little bit of extra challenge, but like it's just he's a weird guy. He's a weird dude.
He is a weird man who is invulnerable for some reason.
Yeah, because every time he
I
comes
get it
back
for
in the
Yoshi's.
game,
Yoshi's make sense because
sorry, he
the Yoshis make sense because they don't take damage in Yoshi's Island, and I'm like,
yeah,
I get
that's
that.
cool. Yeah,
That's cool.
everyone was like, oh man, what's Yoshi Elephant gonna look like? Thank God we were spared from that.
It's a shame we don't get to know. Oh no,
Um,
I'm not praising that we were spared. I'm mad.
it's weird though because
I want to see it.
in every game we get a little hint of lore with Nabbit because Mario U, he's an enemy, right? You have to chase him. You assume he's a new part of Bowser's army or something, and then you twisted that on his head. You can play as him, and when you do, certain cutscenes change because like it sounds like he's following them just to steal stuff, and he just hides in the background when Luigi saves Peach, and then I think they do it again in Mario U where I think you can play as him in Mario U now as well in the deluxe version, so they change it there as well, and then finally he's back in
Yeah.
Wonder and he's hiding in the bushes, and when I was playing on the first time, I'm like, I see you back there. Don't think you can do that again. And then when everyone runs off to save him, and the Yoshis fall behind, I think light blue Yoshi turns around and says, "What are you doing?" It's so funny. I love I love the little animations that they got for him. It's just like, what are you doing?
I don't even think he's like what on the end screen when everybody celebrates right at the end of the game. He's not even there,
I
right?
don't
Like
think he is. No.
I think you can see his bag. I'm pretty sure, and he might be hiding on screen somewhere. But I love that he's just not included.
Yeah, he
He's
wants
not
to
a
be
part of the gang. He is the Team Rocket of this universe.
Yeah, it sounds like he like wants to be included, but like is too shy, and so he just goes behind their back and just like pretends like he's with them. Oh man.
Yeah, the Mario Brothers are my best friends. This
We
is
went
a
on
picture
so many
of us when we
adventures.
went to the movies together, and he's like hiding behind the brick wall, taking a selfie.
That is so perfect. Oh man. Um. So yeah, kind of taking it back a little bit. Another thing we kind of missed on was the power ups. I think the main focus was obviously meant to be the Wonder Flower, and we pretty much got more power ups out of that in a sense of it. But the power ups that
Yeah.
we got were Elephant, Fire Flower, and Drill, and then Bubble. Bubble is probably my least favorite, just because it doesn't. To me, again, I'm not a speedrunner, so like I'm not able to take advantage of those the cool thing. You know, you can jump off the bubbles. I think it's unique. I think it's kind of cool, but ultimately, it's a glorified fire flower. Unfortunately, for the way that I used it, the drill is kind of unique. Again, I feel like more levels need to have like different secrets that include it. I think it's very. I think you said it as well that it's very case specific use. I think it's cool that you can hit enemies from top. That's on your head, which is interesting. But it's again, unfortunately, just a case use situation. Elephant
Yeah.
is obviously the best one here. I think I'm happy that we don't have like another flying ability. Um, but I
It's
think that
played
it,
out.
yeah, and I think what's interesting here is more of just like the secrets that you can find with the water mechanic and how
Hmm.
strong you really are. And we seldom have melee style power ups in the game, so it's kind of unique and interesting. But I just feel like the power ups that were on display here were just again creative, but I feel like they were just lacking. Which you probably don't agree with me there, but I just feel like something is missing in terms of power ups, and I don't. I maybe it's just because me and my friends were under the anticipation that, oh man, all the old power ups are gonna come back, and at the very least the ice flower, and I think what's interesting here is that they did most of them did come back in some way, shape, or form, like with badges and different wonder effects. So they did come back, quote unquote, which is interesting and a new way to take on it because the mini mushroom and the mega mushroom are there with that one Bowser fight and.
Hmm.
Um, the Tanuki suit slash Acorn suit is there with the hat gliding ability, so they're kind of there, but it's just I feel like the actual power ups themselves again badges are a unique take, but it's just something there's something missing. Am I the only one that feels that way?
It's it's tough for me to say. I think elephant might be one of the better power ups they've ever made,
Yeah,
personally, just because it's so. I say this in my review, but it's the everyman power up, right? Like this is a power up you can just use. It actively powers you up, and that's
yeah,
what it does.
yeah,
And that's something that Mario games have steered away from, like the drill mushroom, for instance. Like the power ups are now case specific. They're used to solve puzzles, and like I get that that's neat. We've been doing it for like 15 years. Can we go back? Thanks.
well,
Like
even
there's
then
no
Mario World
reason
had only like one power up, I think, technically it's just the cape, and then the
in Fire Flower.
Yoshi's. Well, new power up. I mean,
Oh yeah.
um, and then you had the Yoshi abilities, which again is like a new way to have different abilities, which I feel like that is a lot better than creating a new power up. Again, like I said, the badges are a cool idea,
Hmm.
um, but again, it's just every time they just seem to come on, they seem to do flying for some reason, and I think that the elephant is again probably one of their better ones, just because it is finally not a flying ability. But again, they're all just case specific, and I agree with you with that. It's just it's weird.
That's it's one of the reasons I like Bubble Flower as much as I do. Bubble Flower probably is my favorite power up in the game, just because it's a power up. It's not a flying power up, but it helps you platform.
Yeah,
It's you really have to go out of your way to make it do what you want, but when you do, it's really cool and it's really fun. Like there's that one there's those puzzle levels where they um in the first one there's like a hidden
ow,
vine that you have to hit, and I couldn't find it because it was a character block and I wasn't playing as the right character, so I didn't know it was there.
yeah,
So the way I got it was by standing up near the warp pipe on like the middle of the stage, and I blew a couple bubbles and I bounced my way over there and I got it. And
nice.
that was the moment when it clicked for me. I was like, "Oh, this is a cool power up."
Yeah, I unfortunately haven't had that effect with it. I think it was introduced in that one level, and then I lost it, and then didn't really look back. It's available in other levels as well. It's just again, you have to find that golden moment with certain
Hmm.
abilities. It's just like, okay, this controls really bad, but it has these elements that are good. As an example, and then for the bubble power up, I didn't really have that moment with it, and I just was just hitting enemies and again solving puzzles with it, and it didn't really click for me, unfortunately. Again, I could have that moment later, find it later. Again, it could always happen. There's infinite time in front of me, none behind me. Well, supposedly, but I can always find time to see if it is a good power up for me, and maybe I just need to find different scenarios to use it in. Um, and
What
then
I think you need is Mario Maker.
yeah, Mario Maker 3 with Wonder elements would be great. Um,
Yeah,
uh,
I said it in my review, but I think the fan community, if and when there's a Mario Maker 3 and we get Bubble Flower, that's really when you're gonna see it pop off. No
I
pun
don't
intended.
want to see. God, I don't want to see Kaizo levels with it though. I already see Ryu Card absolutely demolishing levels with it, so it's just like I don't want to see that. Um, but I was gonna say those character blocks, they catch you off guard sometimes. Like I'll go into like I'll just they act like Kaizo blocks sometimes. I'm like, where the what? It's sometimes they, unless there's like a level like those search party ones where they're like built around it. Sometimes
Hmm.
there's that one that really frustrated me because I could not find it for the life of me. It's one where you push the pipe and you have to find it. Um,
Oh yeah, that's a tough one.
but the ones that are just in the normal levels are just they. A couple of them actually jump scared me, which is so weird to say, but
Jump
they
scared
did.
by hidden block.
Yeah, I was like, what? Because they're in the most random places, and I'm like, oh, okay, there's one.
Yeah, overall I think the power ups are fine. Uh, Bubble and Elephant are pretty high for me. Fire Flower is just a mainstay, so that is what it is. Drill for me was the weakest, just because, like I said in the review, it is the most case specific item in the or power up in the game, and it doesn't have as much just everyman use
Yeah,
as I wish it would. Like Bubble, I could use to defeat enemies if I'm not going to use its jump. Elephant, like that's just makes you stronger. You have a melee attack. Fire Flower, obviously, you can kill enemies from a distance. Drill, well, you can bury underground sometimes.
sometimes. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think.
because not every level even lets you do that. So it's
Yeah, true.
not great.
I think where this game really shines and the reason why they didn't take too much time on the power ups was because of the added element of the badges, which is I think the last thing we really need to cover. Um, and that I think it adds it extra depth to the game because it's not like, oh, these are like power ups that you can access at any time, right? And some of them do fall flat. Like, do we really need one where all items are elephant fruits? Like, that doesn't make any sense. But most of them are really interesting, and sometimes even like challenge run like levels. Like Nintendo really supporting like challenge runners. Like that's what some of these feel like, and what's the interesting little wrinkle that it has is that it stacks with the power ups that you already have. So it's not
Hmm.
like, well, when you get the acorn suit, all you can do is glide and you can't shoot any fire flowers. Well, if you had a fire flower and the gliding cap, well, you can do just that. And I think that's where the interesting element comes in, is where you can layer on these different abilities. And what would be even more cool, and again, I think a lot of people are against this, is if you could stack that on top of character specific abilities too. If they all had their usual abilities, so scuttling with Luigi or um, um,
Floating with Princess Peach.
yeah, things like that, and then stacking
Hmm.
those with a power up and a badge. It might get a little too complicated, but I think that's where the wrinkle is with these power ups, is just the ability to stack it on power up with the badge. Um, because there's different things that you couldn't do with other games. Unfortunately, it doesn't. You can't really fully explore that just because of the way the level designs are, and maybe that's more of like a 3D thing. Um, but like I think probably like the best combination of things would be gliding and the ability to shoot fireballs is probably the example I can think of in my head. Um,
Uh, for most of the game, once I got the spinning midair jump, I pretty much used that for the entire game because combining that with Bubble Flower, you could do some
yeah,
ridiculously stupid stuff.
I
Um,
I got that power up and I thought it felt a little wonky. I feel like I should probably spend a little more time with it, but I think I agree with you that it's a little bit better than the glide.
It's my favorite in the game by far. That and the wall climb jump badge.
That one's so cool, but again, I don't know when I'm ever gonna use it. Just because like there aren't very many hidden things that are like above you like that. Especially some of the level designs have like these weird like triangle like mountain things. Have you
Oh
noticed
yeah.
that? Because it like
hmm
prevents you from using abusing the drill, but it's like I can't use the vertical wall jump there either. So
Yeah, that's a little different. But overall, I think the thing that badges do well is it just allows you to play the game the way you want to.
yeah,
Um, there's freedom of expression in that. Like, I'm sure there will be an optimal speed run soon. There might already be one. I don't know. Um, and I think a few of those different categories are going to end up using different badges.
yeah.
Uh, and I think that'll be cool to see.
Which one is
Um,
the most optimum badge for certain levels and yeah.
right. Uh, I just think it adds a layer of self-expression that's really neat. Like, uh, Daniel's favorite badge was the one that gives you the scuttle jump.
Oh yeah,
It's like the
Luigi's jump. Yeah,
yeah, that was
that
the one
one's
he
so
used
cool.
for most of the game. Um, I found I'm one of the only people in my group that have used the midair spin jump just
Yeah.
because it allows me to be spooky when I when I platform. You know, like
What?
I can be a little riskier, and
Yeah.
for me that's more fun.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I just love that's an option.
Hmm.
Um, and while I may complain about the drill power up, it does combine well with the crouch jump, which I thought was cool.
Yes, that is cool.
Yeah, so like when you're underground, it counts you as crouching. So when you pop out, you do the crouch jump, which is cool.
Yeah, it
And
is
since
really
you
cool.
have the attack on your head, it makes you invulnerable to enemies, which is pretty neat.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, like I said, the
see,
wrinkle there is when it stacks on with the power ups, just
yeah,
seeing what you could do with multiple abilities essentially.
yeah, I'd love to see that explored a bit more. I also, if there is DLC and they want to go this far, let us equip two badges at once. I want to see what that could do. Like obviously some badges won't be compatible,
Yeah.
because they both might use the ZR or whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
You can't
but
glide and spin jump at the same time.
right, but I think some of those would combo really well and allow you to do some pretty weird and interesting things. Um, so yeah, I'd love to see that because in addition to combining with power ups, just combining them with each other,
Yeah.
like there's a whole world to explore there.
Yeah. A whole Super Mario world even.
Yes, yes, exactly.
No, but that yeah, I think what's mostly interesting about the badges too is that it's really all about the potential. Is that some of the things that you see in like current Mario games is that they kind of play it safe. Is that where this time all the different abilities is like I want to see that used again, but in different scenarios, and that's kind of what I feel like. I just want more Mario Wonder. I guess it's just like I just want to be able to experiment more. And it's like, and what's unique about this game is that a lot of the levels stick out in my head, unlike the new Soup series where they all kind of blend together. Um, and
Mhm.
so that is a good thing. You know, props to the game for that. But also now it makes me want more because it's like, well, I already know this level. Like now that I know every level in the game, I want to get to know more levels and use these abilities in different ways and more levels. And again, that's probably another Mario Maker 3 thing, but I think I think I'm saying my point coming. Never mind. I can't speak English anymore.
They
um,
they wrote the book on Mario Wonder, and now it's time to let us use what we've been shown,
yeah,
both to create our own levels and to play more difficult ones.
yeah,
Uh, that's firmly where I'm sitting right now.
and
I don't expect
DLC.
Mario.
I don't want to. Okay, I would like to see DLC and maybe a Mario Maker, but I will tell you right now, I don't want to see a Mario Wonder 2, particularly because that means we're gonna end up falling into the same habit that we were in with the new Soup series. We're just gonna
Oh
have
yeah,
the Wonder series, and then that's gonna get stale, which I don't want to happen again. So
At most, I could see a 1 or 2, but I don't think they're going to repeat the same mistake they did with new Super Mario and just keep cranking out the same game.
yeah.
I think we're long past that. Like I was convinced we were going to get an Odyssey 2, and that didn't happen. And
I'm still holding out for that just because Odyssey is so great and that we did have a Galaxy 2 and technically a 3D Land 2. So I wouldn't be against it. I think just again, like I said, they shouldn't fall into a pattern of just making the same type of game over and over again. Because like
I think
Zelda never had that problem. Every game is unique. Every game.
I don't know how much I agree with that.
Well, there's Phantom
Like,
Hourglass and you know Spirit Tracks, but even then they both have different concepts. Tears of the
right?
Kingdom, same world, but I mean, I like Tears of the Kingdom. I had a hard time playing through Breath of the Wild. I didn't finish it, so
Oh, wow. I
yeah.
loved both of those games. For me, it's that ocarina formula that they stuck to for so long.
Okay, the formula, yes, but you could like people could fight all day long about whether they like Wind Waker or Twilight
Yeah.
Princess more. Whereas with Mario, it's just like people generally talk about the new Soup series as if it was one
Mhm.
game. So
Cuz they kind of are,
they
you
are,
know.
but it's just like that's. I think there's a difference there, I guess.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
So I think
Um
Mario. I think Mario. It's about time for Mario to start doing its own thing. With well, at least with the 2D games. So the 3D ones are doing just fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with those.
I think we're in a new age of Nintendo that we've been in for a while now that started with the Switch, with Koizumi helming Super Mario Odyssey, and we got younger developers that made Splatoon. The Mario Kart team being like, "All right, we're gonna make a game about stretchy arms." It was weird. Not everyone loved it. I did,
I did.
uh, but at least they tried it, right?
Yeah.
Like we're in an age where I think Nintendo is more in tune with what their audience wants to play, um, and less willing to just crank out the same thing.
I think during the Wii U era, I think Nintendo was confused because they had the
They were
Wii
scared.
and they
That's
had
for
the
sure.
yeah they had the Wii U and it was massively successful, and then they went to the Wii U era and people started that's when it started to get stale. That started to get stale across the board. Like even the 3DS games were going down, and then the Wii U era happened, and we all know what happened with the Wii U era. And then something, at least again, the Switch era could have started it, but I feel like something in the middle of the Switch's life, Nintendo was like, all right, like they were still kind of playing it safe in the early parts of the Wii U era, or the Switch era, sorry. And then I think something just like they just something happened, and Tears of the Kingdom made me feel that way. The fact that they're remaking Thousand Year Door makes me feel that way. Mario Wonder makes me feel that way, and the fact that they returned Pikmin and F Zero, something's going on in the last 2 years that Nintendo's like, all right, I think we're done playing it safe. And I wonder if that's partially because a lot of their assets were on the Mario movie, and Miyamoto stepped away from the video game side of things. I could be wrong on that, but I feel like they were spending a lot of time with Universal and not a whole lot of time with Nintendo. And so, and because this started, the rumors of the Mario movie started, it was like 2015, 2016.
Yeah, it was a long
So,
time ago.
and you notice around that time, that's when things, went bad for the Wii U, and then went bad for the 3DS, and then the Switch era started, and it was really good, but you still notice that those same isms, and like Mario Odyssey, you still see some of the standardization in those games. Even though it was a great game, you can still see the Marioisms in there that we've been trying to define for the last 10 years. And now Mario Wonder said, throw that all out the window, or some of it. And we got a good game out of it. Tears of the Kingdom, again, same game, but they were able to do more with it. And that's just the way I feel. I feel like something happened post Mario movie where like the shackles came off and now they're able to make fun games again.
I think it's threefold. I think there's three things going on here. One was Satoru Iwata's passing away.
Yeah.
Um, Leadership at Nintendo changed, right? Uh, not to disparage Iwata at all. Obviously, he's an incredible man. and he helmed the Wii era, the most successful era of Nintendo prior to this one.
Yeah.
Um, so there was that. Uh, the changing of the guard in terms of developers. We're in a period of time now where legacy Nintendo developers are getting to the point where they're ready to retire, or maybe they have retired and they're putting new faces at the helms of these development studios. Like they may not look young to us, but in terms of the kinds of positions they're filling now, they're definitely
And
young.
the Japanese culture appreciates their older, more wiser, um,
Yeah,
just people in any industry in any space. So they're like,
their kind of business structure is also very different
yeah,
too.
we got to hold on to them for as long as possible because those are the minds that we need, not these new kids that are gonna mess up our Mario. Like, you know,
Hmm. I had a third one, and it's gone.
uh,
It was
Wada
there.
movie,
There was Iwata, changing of the guard. Um, what was it?
the
I had.
Switch, the movies, Universal, anything like that. Trying to just throw out keywords. Sorry.
I'll probably remember it when I try to go to bed tonight and be like, "Dang it!"
But no, I think I totally get what you're saying. I think, well, the Wii U era was interesting because they thought they were doing something right. They're like, the Wii 2, right? Like, we got to get more Wii sales. And then it didn't work. Um,
The
and
Wii
then,
U as a platform, I think, was fine. There
yeah,
were there were a couple critical areas where they faltered, and Reggie talks about that in his book a little bit.
should
If you
read
haven't
that.
read it or listened to it, it's a good read. Um, how you frame something can make or break everything. Like obviously calling it the Wii U was a mistake.
Yeah,
The way they announced the console was a mistake. The way
yeah.
they showed the console the first time was a mistake. Um, the platform itself had some issues, like it was slow,
Oh,
uh,
yeah, I remember that. That was. The settings took like 4
miserably
years to
slow.
load.
Yeah, it was bad. The software wasn't super compelling. Like they couldn't even sell their own idea, which
Like the Wii
you
U
know,
chat.
yeah, it's kind of bad when you're the one who came up with the gamepad and you don't even know what to do with it.
Yeah.
Uh, but I still think the Wii U as a platform had some good things going on, um,
I mean, we had the
and it could
best
have been
form
a
of Smash
success.
on it at the time.
Yeah,
We had, I mean, 3D World people crap on that game for some reason because it's kind of new
it's a
super.
fantastic
Yeah,
Mario game.
it's kind of new soupified, but like it's a great Mario game and it should be held up next to Galaxy and not Sunshine. Sunshine shouldn't even be talked about. Period. That's just my
the the
opinion, though.
reason the reason I think 3D World gets flack is because it came out in an era where people were starving for a traditional
3D, yeah.
Super Mario 64 style game, and then that didn't happen. Um, so like, because I was one of those people. Like, I remember seeing 3D World for the first time, and my heart sinking a little bit. I was like, this isn't what I was hoping we'd get.
Yeah,
Didn't change the fact that I loved that game
yeah.
later on when it came out.
Again, it was just about timing, really, because when it came back on the Switch, I mean, I think that thing sold more than the Wii U version. Well, obviously, but uh, it
Yeah,
it did much better, and I think people's perception of it changed when it came to the Switch.
I mean, people like to crap on Federation Force, which I don't even think is a bad game. They just didn't like it out of principle of not being
Because
a
there's not a
traditional
new
Metroid
Prime. There
Prime.
still isn't a new Prime
Yeah,
game.
like the same thing happened to Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze.
Really,
We've seen this
I don't
happen
know that.
repeatedly.
I
Oh yeah, people were
all I've known is praise for
furious
that game.
when
So,
Tropical Freeze was announced. People were furious. It wasn't Metroid Prime.
oh,
Um,
because of retro. Okay, never mind. I was
yeah,
thinking. I was like, oh, they hate on Donkey Kong because it's Donkey Kong Country Returns and not
no,
OG
the game
Country.
obviously is incredible.
Yeah,
It's people just got it. There's a lot of that knee jerk reaction, right?
I think that's why
Um,
it's been taking so long, and they restarted development. I think twice now because it because they wanted to be a good game for Metroid fans. They did it well with
yeah,
Dread, but that's not retro. And retro, after watching that new Did You Know Gaming video, I realized how shaky retro really is. Unfortunately,
I mean, the retro we knew who made Metroid Prime isn't even the retro today. Like most of those
yeah,
developers are long gone.
yeah,
Um, but I don't even know why I got on this tangent. I had a point to it, but
Why the Wii
I'm
U
sure the audience will
wasn't,
understand.
yeah. You're
Oh
saying
yeah,
that
yeah,
the
yeah.
framing wasn't, and so yeah, we had the scared shaky period, and I think in the early
Yeah,
Switch era was like probably just a transitional period, and now I think coming into the Switch 2 and even the end of the Switch One's life cycle, we're gonna start to see Nintendo come back, finally after
we're
so long.
still kind of seeing the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah, that
Like
as well. That was the
we're
other thing
we're
that
get
kind of halted that
we're getting
transition.
a lot of remakes right now, and I'm sure there's two reasons for that. One, obviously, was the effects of the pandemic. Remakes are going to be easier, less time consuming, um, and because there's a new console on the way.
Yeah, I think the other thing too is that I mean the 3DS had the same thing. They had remakes pretty much at the end of its life cycle and ports too, because who's gonna play Captain Toad on the 3DS except for me? um,
You should play Captain Toad on anything you can because that game's great.
yeah, I have started it, and I'm not really the smartest person in the world, so puzzles are a little challenging for me. Because the 3D World ones were good, and then they took that idea and ran with it, obviously, and it starts to get more challenging, which is good. I just haven't finished it. But again, they were just a lot of ports, a lot of remakes, and at the end of its life cycle. And I assume they wanted to do that with the Wii U as well, but because it was so unsuccessful, they just decided to give you whatever during the end of that
Yeah,
period. Because 2016 was so rough. I mean, Scott DeWaz talks about it nonstop. It's just like 2016 was like we didn't even know where Nintendo was gonna go from here. Um,
that way may have been the most depressing E3 I'd ever watched.
oh man, we did get
I was
some stuff.
so
I don't remember exactly what was good at that year, but I mean the 3DS even had to suffer that year, which was unfortunate.
The
So
only notable game I can think that even came out on the Wii U besides Star Fox Zero in 2016 was Pokken Tournament.
oh yeah, that was a good game too. But again, like
Yeah,
no one understood what it was, and it came out on a platform that no one understood
nobody
what it
played.
was.
Yeah,
Um, man, people are saying that they were gonna make a Pokken too. I don't know where that is. I hope that's still real. Side tangent, but
I
um,
think that could happen.
uh,
All this to say that we're definitely in a new age of
yeah,
Nintendo. It's very clear to see with Super Mario Brothers Wonder. Um, I think Takashi Tezuka is still producer for Super Mario or 2D Super Mario's.
I wouldn't know,
Um,
but
he has been for a long time. Uh, and I don't think that's changed yet. But I still firmly believe that a lot of these new ideas that we're seeing are just coming from up and coming developers that are new to development and new to Nintendo, and it's about dang time.
and
Like,
I think this effect is gonna affect the entire world of Nintendo because I mean, hopefully we see another F-Zero game, and it not necessarily wildly different from GX, but like still that same core concept, but like I guess wonderified, if you will. I don't know if it will be. They might have to play it safe with F-Zero, but I'm just saying like across the board at Nintendo, we're gonna start seeing like after Thousand Year Door. I'm pretty sure we're gonna see like a RPG, 2D, new Paper Mario RPG, and I hope that they do because
I
I'll be
think we
happy
will.
for those fans because I personally like Super Paper Mario and Color Splash, but I'm probably the one and only. Um, I don't like Sticker
There are a
Star,
lot of
but
there are a lot of Super Paper Mario fans.
yeah, I think that
Um,
there's elements of the Sticker Star trilogy that are good, but they obviously ran with the bad ones, unfortunately. But
I don't even
I'm
put Origami King in that set.
I
That's its own thing in my mind.
Yeah, it is. A lot of people put it in that set, and that's because, and I do too, because other people do. Just because it's again not an RPG, but it is a great game, and
Yeah,
I compare it to Sticker Star a lot because of the graphics. They're kind of similar
sure.
styles, whereas the new remake is not paper craft anymore. Um, it's kind of
It might be
sorta,
more
but
so. It's just it
no
has a new lighting
outlines.
engine
Yeah,
and physically looks a lot
yeah.
different for the better.
But point being is that, like you said, this is a new era for Nintendo. We're probably gonna see the juice of or the most of it, the meat of it when the Switch 2 comes out, and um, we're probably going to see a return to form and the return of many franchises as well. So that's kind of what I see, and I think it all starts here with Mario Wonder. So
I sure hope so, because Kid Icarus is still there, and I'm still waiting.
that has so much potential. What happened?
Yep. Sakurai keeps teasing me on his
I
YouTube
know.
channel. I'm like, stop doing
I
that.
fully assumed that was the next thing that was in it. They're like, hey, what if somebody made a remake? Like, that's totally what Sakurai would do, and then it didn't happen. And then the next time that he talked about Kid Icarus, he was like, he said he was like confirming that it wasn't going to happen or something like that. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he like kind of closed the door a little bit.
I just imagine them making Kid Icarus Uprising 2 or remaking the original for the next platform. And I just imagine that episode of SpongeBob where he decides he's not going to be a fry cook anymore, and he becomes an actor, a star. And his act ends up being him putting patties on the grill, and the customers are looking through the wonder, and they're like, "That's what we wanted."
Yeah, it's like
I'm gonna have that moment when Kid Icarus comes back.
They're gonna remake the second game. That's what they're gonna do, because that's what we wanted.
That's what we've been waiting for. No, please don't remake the second game. The first two games aren't good. So remember, we all know that.
Miyamoto wanted to remake Zelda 2 like 4 times. Another
that
2
game
that
should
wasn't
be
very
remade,
good.
I think.
All the 2s are like black sheeps in Nintendo's franchises. Like,
that is weird, but true.
Even Metroid, even though people do actually like that game, it's still different from 1 and 3. So, anyway, sorry.
Zelda 2 should have a remake, though. I firmly believe it deserves one.
It does, because it has some good ideas, but it's
just a good game, actually.
it's shown its age. I'm having a hard time getting myself to play it, even though it does have some good elements and music. It's
too hard.
Yeah, I struggled through Zelda 1. Anyway, sorry. You probably can see where our podcasts go with my brain. It's just like all over the place.
Hey, sometimes that's just how it is, man.
I wonder exactly how much of this video was actually talking about Mario Wonder.
I think a good 70-ish% was talking about Mario Wonder. There was some general talk about Nintendo in there too, but you can't talk about one without the other.
Yeah, and I think that the biggest thing to take away from this video, because again, we did speak most of our thoughts in our reviews, is that where does it take us from here? And I think we've talked about that. Because I think Mario Wonder shows potential for the future of not only 2D Mario, but the future of Nintendo as well. So I think that's a good note to kind of end it on.
I said it in my review. I'll say it again here. My own compatriots at GVG don't even agree with me. This is the best 2D Mario game ever made.
I fully agree with you. I fully agree. But no, thank you so much for joining me. I know that I couldn't get my other hosts on to meet you, but it was a great time getting to talk with you about Mario, because I know the other people on my crew will not talk about it as passionately as we would. But I really appreciate you being here. And we had some scheduling kerfuffle in the middle there, but I'm glad that we actually got to sit down and talk. So I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. I'm happy to talk about Mario. There's not enough big Mario fans in the world, to be honest. Yeah. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Though that might change now that the movie's out.
Yeah, I think that it's become that child or that nostalgic property where it's like, yeah, I buy all the games and I play them, but am I really like, is Mario my number one favorite game? No, it's probably like Spider-Man. No, for me, it's definitely a Mario game. Unfortunately, it's an RPG, but not a 2D one. But no, this is a fantastic game, and yeah, I just can't wait to see where it goes from here. Would you like to? I mean, not that they don't know where you're from, but where are you from? Who are you?
My name is Brandon Miracle. I'm at Merrowleaf _ on Twitter. You can find me at Good Vibes Gaming. I am I mostly just do videos for them, edit, but partner over there alongside my compatriots, Steve, Ash, Derek, Daniel, John, you know everybody. You know them
and
all.
We actually celebrated 3 years yesterday? Or 2 days
Yesterday
ago?
was a 3-year anniversary.
3-year anniversary, yeah. So
I have been there since the beginning with the other guys, and it's been a great 3 years. we're closing in on 150,000 subscribers and still climbing. So
Well, I
thank you.
appreciate you coming on, and shout out to Good Vibe. Not that you need the shout out, we need the shout out more than you do. But no, it was a great time having you on, and to finally talk Mario for a little bit. And yeah, again, thank you so much. I can't thank you enough. I can't thank all of you guys because a couple of you guys have been on the show as well. So
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
all right, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye bye.